10 days ago, it was announced that Catherine Lewis-Latour, already a very senior figure at the British Business Bank, was to become the CEO of British Patient Capital, the new innovation launched by the Chancellor almost exactly a year ago. So we're particularly delighted, as our last platform speaker, that Catherine has agreed to be here today, only 10 days into this new role, to outline how she sees this new function operate in the future. I'm sure it's going to have an enormous impact on the growth capital and venture capital and hopefully lower mid-market scene. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Catherine Lewis-Latour.
Thank you, Tim, for that introduction, and from a huge slide pack to no slides, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. But Tim has also given me some homework today, and I have 3 questions to answer, I think. What is patient capital? Why is it different from what the bank's already been doing? And what's next? So, as Tim's already said, I'm 2 weeks into the job as CEO of British Patient Capital. Patient capital is something that's very straightforward. What we mean is long-term equity investment into very high potential, ambitious companies. And as you've seen from some of the examples today, and just looking at Minecraft, to get from seed to unicorn, that requires a lot of capital and a lot of patience. And what we're trying to develop here is a patient system whereby the most promising companies in the UK and Europe can actually go on that journey and find the capital to go on that journey from in the ecosystem here within the UK. So why is this different from what we've already been doing at the British Business Bank? Because lots of people have said, isn't that venture capital? Aren't you already doing that? And the answer to both of those questions is yes, venture capital can be considered as patient capital. And has the bank already been doing that? Yes, we've been an investor in VC funds for around 10 years, both through the bank and through a predecessor organization, Capital for Enterprise. So we've built up quite a lot of experience in venture. But what the Patient Capital Review identified was that we don't have tremendous amounts of capital available for investment at later stages of a company's growth when they really need to scale and internationalize. And that's the gap that we're trying to address. And actually, Scottish Equity Partners is a good example. They're one of the managers in our portfolio, and we'll be looking to find more SEPs going forward to back, alongside the venture capital funds that we want to continue to back. The other thing that's important to say is that I think the private equity industry in general, the venture capital world also, has got locked into the 10+2 structure. And I think we want to be a bit more open-minded as to what sort of vehicles we could invest through. And what that essentially means is that, of course, we love the 10+2. It's a well-known model. It's worked very well. But perhaps there are listed structures or more innovative structures that are better suited to patient capital, and we'll be open to evaluating those. The other innovation, I think, for British Patient Capital compared to the rest of the bank is that when the Treasury gave us £2.5 billion, actually, to invest in patient capital, they said, this is to start off this strategy, but once you've developed that track record, you need to go and find your own life in the private sector, either through a listed vehicle or through some kind of eventual sale. So there's no timeline based on that, but it does mean from day one, we have a very commercial headset in terms of what we're looking to do with British Patient Capital. So to summarize, it's venture capital and growth capital, it's fund structures, it's also more innovative, open-ended structures, patient structures, and we're moving towards a sale or a listing at some point in the future once we've developed our track record. So what does the next few years look like? Callum again said if we knew that, then we'd be in a different place. But I think it's quite clear for British Patient Capital. Our main objective is to invest this £2.5 billion well in patient capital. We don't want to get diverted into parts of the market where there's sufficient private capital. We want to catalyze areas of the market that are currently underserved. What that equates to is that we think we'll be investing or committing between 300 and 350 million annually over the next 3 years. And we're also considering a couple of other things that we haven't done hitherto. One of that is to co-invest alongside our VC and growth managers in some of those most promising companies, backing later rounds. And the other thing that we'd like to do is really work with institutional investors in the UK and internationally to try and open their minds a little bit as to why this space is interesting and how you do get good returns by being an active investor in this area. So a key part of what we're looking to do is to leverage that 2.5 billion to make that actually several more billions over the course of the next few years through institutional support. So what that means is we're not here to do this by ourselves. We've seen all the numbers on private equity and how popular it is as an asset class. But if you compare that to what's happening in the venture and patient space, then there's quite a gap. We think that's a missed opportunity. We can see that already within our own portfolio. We've also got 5 unicorns in our own portfolio, so we've had a very successful start to the program. But we would hope that in the next 3 to 5 years, there will be at some point no need for a government institution to be involved in this area at all. And that's our medium-term aim. Thank you very much.